Okay. Welcome everybody to the Cash Flow Empire. Once again, every Tuesday night, we're glad to have you guys. We take a lot of pride in the Cash Flow Empire because there is no limits here. We like to talk about the dirty, ugly truth, the good, the bad, the ugly about multifamily assets. So obviously, you guys know who I am, but a lot of the lead is gonna be taken tonight by our good friend and partner, Jedidiah Wick. Jedidiah, welcome. And
Man,
if you
thank you,
haven't met
Sergio.
him, if you haven't met him, he is one of the coolest guys that I've met. I'm all about surrounding myself around positive energies, positive people, people who want to grow as fast as I do, which is why I'm sure everybody is in this room. You know, we're all here every Tuesday just so we can continue growing. But Jedidiah is just an amazing dude, man. I love him to death. I feel like I've known him for like 20 years. And, you know, I just met him this year. But I'm glad that everybody's going to get to meet him tonight because this is someone that you want to keep in your inner circle, someone that you want to stay connected with. So, that being said, Jedidiah, man, welcome. Welcome tonight to the Cashflow Empire. Tell us who
Hey,
you are
Sergio,
and,
thank
and
you.
all that good stuff.
Yeah, so guys, it's such an honor to be with you tonight. I really, really appreciate it. I've been following you guys for a minute, and what an honor to be a part of the Cash Flow Empire's mission to help people to change lives. So I definitely am grateful. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in rural Alaska, so I grew up in a culture and a mindset where most people didn't have understanding of like what it meant to next level, really anything. The culture I grew up in was a lot of just basic survival. And as I, developed skills through the years, I initially was about helping people because we had a lot of tourism coming into my state, into my town, really a village. And so I learned that and this is really where I've developed my skill set and what has made me a valuable part of teams in investing is that people come first. So one of my sayings that you'll hear a lot from me, and for those of you that know me, you probably can quote it by now, is everything is relational before it's functional. So that developed in me just a culture of putting people first and serving people. That's really what I cut my teeth on was serving people coming from all over the world who wanted to experience Alaska. And in the meantime, we lived in like off the grid, no electricity, no running water. Uh, didn't have a car till I was a teenager. So that just set me up to not take things for granted, even though I didn't realize that's what it was. That really was the foundation of what became and has become my career. And I moved to Texas 10 years ago. So after doing some fun things, I've done a lot of fun things, but moved to Texas 10 years, got into the investing side of real estate. And like a lot of us, it was residential, right? So just having that background in construction and building and developing and the things that come with being born and raised in a rural part of the country, construction was just second nature. It still is in a lot of capacities. So, taking that in and then again, the growth mindset of like, how do I use what I'm good at and help people? And those two things have a lot of synergy in them. So I just found myself always helping people and over the years, over the last 10 years, developed a portfolio, just since 2017, been part of specifically in the residential capacity, but over 350 transactions on homes, remodels, flips, wholesales, all of the above, pretty much any kind of residential transaction you can imagine. I've probably been in one or two. And then,
Nice.
of course, flipping houses on my own a lot. So that's how I ended up, here. That's my background. I'm 41 and I'm the middle of five kids. Again, grew up in rural Alaska. And so I genuinely love people and love to help people. So it's a little
I
bit
love
about me.
it. I love it. I love it. And I think that's why man, the first time I met Jedidiah, it was just kind of like, I don't know if y'all have noticed, I'm a very positive, I'm a very extroverted individual. If you met me in person, I'm always smiling. You kind of see what you get. I'm always smiling, laughing online. That's really how I am. I'm just a goofball. So when I met Jedidiah and I'm like seeing the same energy, I'm like, man, this guy, I'm hitting it off really well with him. And he's just an awesome guy. And it's just kind of crazy how he just mentioned how he started his real estate journey in single family. A little bit about myself now. I didn't start. We have similar backgrounds because we both have construction experience. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sergio Aguilar. I am Mexican descent. I'm a first generation Mexican American, is what I like to say. I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. So my ultimate goal, obviously in the Latin community, our goal is, the goal is to come to the States for a better future, a better life, to give your kids a better life, correct? My parents got married when they were in their early 20s. They crossed the border, and they had us, all my siblings. I'm the middle of four, and the goal was always to go to college. I was like, you know what, I got to go to college. And my motivation was my parents. I want to give a reason for my parents to say, dang, you know what, we crossed the border and it was worth it. So my biggest thing was always college. I was like, man, I got to get my education. That's how I'm going to repay these people back. I love them to death. So I went to high school, graduated high school, and then I went to the University of Texas at Arlington in Dallas, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I got my degree in construction management. So after that, I decided to keep pursuing construction. I took over my dad's company that he started from $0 with my siblings, and here we are today. Kind of like Jedidiah, though. As you get to know Jedidiah, we're very extroverted. We're like not still. We're antsy. We're like hyper. Like, well, man, what's the next thing? As I kind of started working for corporate America, I started noticing, like, man, this isn't what I want to do. Although this is all I know, it's just kind of like, what's next? What's the next thing in my life? This is me being an entrepreneur. I'm like, I got my own company. I'm a little flexible. I can kind of leave when I want. If I got to go on a trip next week to Florida to go to a mastermind or to real estate, I don't have to ask permission, essentially. But I still feel bad for leaving, right? And being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, you get all the phone calls. You're just kind of working too much. So I noticed that I kind of wanted to start focusing in real estate more than construction. Construction takes a toll on me. It's not easy. It's very, very hard. And I think Jedidiah can second that. Having a construction company and dealing with contractors and all this can take a toll on you. Not really physically, because I don't labor anymore. I did start as a laborer, but psychologically, it's just kind of like, man, you're going crazy at all times. You gotta put fires out 24/7. So unlike Jedidiah, guys, I didn't start in single family. This is where I'm here to tell you guys, if you're in a corporate world and you think you got to start from a single family aspect, flipping houses or wholesaling or doing any of that, you do not need to do that, because I didn't. I'm one of the witnesses in my team where I went straight into multifamily. I was like, you know what, the hell with that. Why not learn from people? I'm meeting a lot of people that are buying 20, 30 houses, own 20, 30 houses, selling their portfolios so that they can invest it in a multifamily. I'm just like, they're doing that for a reason. Why am I going to go and do that and invest my time, which is, we all know that time is extremely valuable. So I was like, screw that. Let's get into multifamily. And just going back to Jedidiah, that's a little bit about myself, guys, in a nutshell. For those of you, I know you guys know who I am, but that's my story. And Jedidiah, like, how was that transition? I know, you said you've been doing these flips, you've done a little bit of everything. How was the transition for you from single family now into the whole multifamily world, now that you're an asset manager at Sweet Redemption, which is a hell of a location? And let's talk about it.
Yeah, man. Obviously, I think a lot of us, we hear that question. So how did somebody, how did Sergio, how did Jonathan, how did Tony, how did Shirley, how did any of us, right? The how. And that's a great question. For me, guys, it was people. It was relationship first. So I want to, Sergio, if you don't mind, I want to dig into your story a little bit, because there's a couple of key things that you mentioned, that if anybody is a note taker that's listening, even if this is the 50th one of these that you've been on, I recommend take notes. When I'm on these calls and I'm on the other end, I'm always taking notes, because I'm always, even if I'm hearing the same thing, I'm going to hear it differently. And so that question, how, it gets a lot of people hung up. And so in Sergio's story, like when I'm listening to you, man, talk, and you talk about, I went straight to multifamily. And you know, I agree with that, but I also, when I watch and I'm around you, there's something that was developed before you went straight to multifamily, and it was your ability to commit to a process. And so even in college, you just mentioned, yeah, I went to college, but before that, you committed, you had a commitment to your family in the family vision of, hey, we want to get from nothing to legacy. And there's a skill set that you have that I watch, and it's your ability to commit and follow through. And again, this podcast is a product of that skill set. It is a skill set. And a lot of skill sets in this capacity, in this space, guys and ladies, it's caught more than it's taught. And if there's one thing about Sergio that I noticed that is so dynamic, is that dude catches quick. And I think that's why, like, you were in college, man. You got a degree. This dude's got a degree in construction management. So he's not just some dude sitting on the side of the road with a shovel making holes for concrete to go in. You know, you're an incredibly intelligent and strategic person. But I also noticed that you have an incredible capacity to take action. And I think, and I'm just going to say this because this is something I ran into, you know, in my years, and I still run into it, is a lot of us, we love the idea of bigger. And for those of us that are in some of these bigger rooms with some of these bigger names, you know, we hear it said, hey, go big or go home. You know, why go small when you can go big? And while I agree with that, fundamentally, I agree with that, because they're talking about your mindset. There is still a fundamental component to this, guys, that Sergio models, Jonathan models, you know, and I, when people observe me from the outside looking in, they're like, hey, you kind of do the same thing. You know, I literally cut my teeth peeling logs, one log at a time, that was part of a custom home. So I was seeing the process play out in front of me, and I was grabbing a hold of that. I wasn't just ignoring it. I wasn't caught up in this, well, this is too small for me. This job's too small for me. This process is too small for me. Now, if my mindset would have stayed there, that's a different story. And so just watching Sergio, you know, when I'm around this guy, and even when we're walking properties together, because, you know, I'm very fortunate to be part of a GP team with these amazing men, but there's a work ethic that this brother has that sets a standard. And like, I mean, when other people are talking about, man, I just want to hit a big deal, you know, 500 doors, 420 doors, 360 doors, and man, then we'll just ring that bell and we'll be good, right? We'll be kicking it on the beaches. What they don't realize is, you know, it's guys like Sergio that are in the trenches at 4 o'clock in the morning and being diligent in the lane that he's currently in, right? That's not his mindset. That's not where he's fixated, but he's using, and you've done that. You've used that process to grow and prepare yourself for what's coming next. And I think I'm a product of that. You know, I'm a product of being around people that modeled that kind of work ethic, and not just I'm not talking about the DIY work ethic. Again, don't get me confused on work ethic versus mindset. They can complement or they can contradict. And Sergio is an example where those two things complement. You know, I'm an example of where those two things complement. And so I just, you know, I want to give respect and honor to you in that, man, because you model that so well. You know, there isn't, I'll show up at events and Sergio's there. You know, we'll be doing a due diligence walkthrough, and Sergio's blowing up the phone saying, hey guys, I heard, hey, just tell me when, tell me where, and I'm there. And this is while he's running, you know, a multi-million-dollar construction company. So for some of you that may be stuck in a rut, you know, you might be thinking, man, I just want to hit it big and then everything's gonna be great. Find something. If you're not already doing something that is, you know, practicing a work ethic and practicing follow through, find something, and better yet, find somebody that you can grab a hold of and you can draft with. And that could be somebody in your local community, your local market. And honestly, it doesn't have to be somebody in multifamily real estate. It can be somebody in your line of work, like you mentioned earlier, guys, you know, a W-2 lifestyle, you might be in that. But find somebody that you can get in the trenches with that has the right mindset, but is gonna like Sergio got around the right kind of people. And that work ethic has begun to pay dividends. Serge, how many doors are you guys in, bro?
We're about shy of 1,000. Here pretty soon we'll be exceeding the 1,000 mark. Can you guys hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yep. I'm getting internet, saying my internet's kind of low, but I guess we're good right now.
We got you. And Jedidiah, man, you wanna walk us through your first deal, or how did you get involved in the in the asset management side. You want to share that with everybody?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my background in multifamily and triple net is I became an investor because, again, of relationship. Can't stress that enough. So I got involved in some deals that were community driven. And what I realized is, wow, although I have passive investments in this, there are people on the ground actually making it happen. I've got some investments in Colorado, some in Florida, some in Alaska, some on the West Coast. And what I realized is, okay, there's another layer to these things happening. And as I begin to investigate, and again, this is something to write down, always ask questions. Never be afraid to ask a stupid question, because the stupidest question is the one that you didn't ask, honestly. And so I started to ask questions. I mean, I'm blowing people up on the phone going like, hey, like, how do I get involved? I was willing to get on a plane and fly just to spend a weekend, once a month on a job site where things were being developed, because I wanted to get around it and understand it. And so, Jonathan, that led me to begin to learn. I started reading books. I'm a huge advocate of audio books, because these days, a lot of us are on the go. We're coming and going nonstop. And don't make the excuse that you can't read. Dude, you can get 5 to 7 to 12 minutes of a book, into your brain, into your heart, into your head while you're coming and going. You can do it day in and day out. And so I started to listen and I started to pay attention. And then, of course, being in the industry, right? I was coaching and mentoring in a residential model where I saw people that were coming to me because they would buy a business. And this is really important. People were willing to invest, and this will tie in later. People were willing to invest a minimum of $75,000 up to $250,000 just to get into a system that would let them get their hands on an asset. In this case, it was a house. And for me, I'm like, okay, I'm the guy that people are coming to, because just by default of being a remodeling designer, I was strategic design and building is what I did and still do a little bit of. But that hands-on element, I realized, wow, what I'm doing, and Sergio can relate to this, what I'm doing is actually so valuable to people who don't know how to do, but they have the resources to help make it happen. And I connected that dot in the residential space. And so I started to realize that I was an asset. So people were looking for me. They weren't looking for Jonathan. They weren't looking for, the guys that Jonathan, by the way, is 10 times smarter than me. That dude's an engineer. I have so much respect for the way his mind works. It's incredible. They weren't looking for those skill sets because a lot of them had it as a business owner, but they needed a guy like me that they could trust, that knew what I was talking about and how to, be boots on the ground and execute. And so, Jonathan, that led me on a journey, man, of just taking what I knew. And when I was given opportunity to help, I stepped up. I stepped up to the plate in a couple of big ways. And just the results of some people trusting my advice, my counsel, that opened doors. And, long story short is I got invited in because I have a pretty good background in that space, and I've got a decent reputation with helping people solve big problems. It opened the door to multifamily in Dallas, which is what I was really after. And so I got brought in to solve problems for existing assets. And then, of course, again, when you make things about serving and blessing other people, it becomes favor, and favor isn't fair always, but it's a powerful tool. And so that just opened the door, man, to some key relationships where, again, I was sought out as more of a consultant, if you will, to help be strategic and help make some crucial decisions. And then I got slowly but surely over a couple of years, just begin to get brought in more and more and more to those decision-making moments. And of course, as we all know, all of a sudden you find yourself in the middle of, hundreds of doors where people are making $1 million decisions one at a time that stack up to $20-30 million development deals and multifamily acquisition deals. And they're coming to me saying, hey, can you get a team of people together to come help us make a good decision? And I'm like, wait a second, how can I? And then that's when you have to be bold to speak up. How can I and what I'm doing be a part of this long term? And that's really, that really took off for me last year. So in 2022, again, building on that foundation of wanting to help and serve and bless other people. And then taking initiative to ask the question at the right time. And now I'm in 2 going on 3 properties in a general partnership relationship, which again, guys, I think a lot of us know GP means a lot. There's more to it than just, hey, I'm on a GP team. There's a lot of delegated responsibility there. But that's kind of how that happened, Jonathan, to get back to the how. It was a progression of relationships and solving problems for other people.
Wow, that was fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing that with us, because you inspires, it's like, it's not just like, oh no, just because this person was, I don't know, was born in a family that is already was doing multi-family. No, it's like a regular person can do it. You just gotta have your principles, your morals right, because that way you can gain the trust and also give and give.
Yes.
I always hear that, always, and thank you so much for that. And also I would like to ask, how do you, because so many people start in multifamily, but at the end, just few of them are the ones who are succeeding in here. But I have seen that is because they don't have a clarity in their why they're doing that. Do you have that moment when you feel like you got your why, or how do you find it? So that way, I don't know, like a little bit of light for us.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, honestly, it's a great question. I was a middle child. So my mindset wasn't as an oldest, wasn't as a younger, but as a middle child, I realized like I wanted to help other people. I was always being asked to help stuff with my siblings, with my mom, my dad around. And again, the way I grew up, it was very much a community mindset. So personally for me, my why was I would see where other people were struggling and specifically in multifamily. I could see loopholes and I could see blind spots where people were having to make strategic decisions, and I just wanted to help. And then what I realized is my personal vision. I mean, here's my personal vision: is I want to be worth a minimum of $10 million net a year. That's my goal. I'm not there yet, but that's my goal. That is the development. I'm 41, so that's a development of a vision over about 10 years of a transformational mindset. So the why for me was, okay, I want to help other people. How do I do that? I solve problems. Okay. Then the question is, what about me? Not in a selfish way, but there comes a point in time when somebody says, just like you said, okay, what is your motivation? And really my first initiative was I needed to change. My mindset needed to change about money. My mindset needed to change about what was possible. So I began to challenge myself and put myself in situations where it was, these were big decisions. I was making decisions on behalf of people worth millions of dollars, and not stupid decisions, well thought out, well executed, but it was a challenge to make good decisions and be willing to help, ask people to help me make those good decisions. And then for me, it's like, if I can make that decision for somebody else and help steward their money, their assets, I can do the same thing for me. And so that development, again, it was a relational development. And so now my passion is I want to be an example of somebody that wasn't afraid, one, to fail, but wasn't afraid to ask for help, wasn't afraid to put other people first, and wasn't afraid to think and act like a millionaire. Like, that's really true. And again, I'm going to bring Sergio into this, because Sergio, to me, you guys, that dude operates in a millionaire mindset. He doesn't just talk about it. He operates in a millionaire mindset. And it's his behavior patterns. And again, it's his attitude. So for me, those were a lot of the whys. And to put one more on top of that is I desperately want to be around like-minded and like-hearted people. I was like, I was a hockey player. I played hockey for 18 years. And in hockey, you're part of they call it a line, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. But you and the other guys on your line, you guys are like a tight-knit group. It's like a GP team. And so being a part of a team, like I was a center and a right winger, and you're heavily dependent on when you're in that position. And so I wanted to be somebody that other people could rely on. And so that's a big why for me. It's like you said, that character, those ethics, I wanted to be, and I still want to be. That's what drives me. I want to be somebody that other people can depend on. They know I'm going to be there when they need them. And I want to be a part of a winning team. So again, long answer, great question.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jedidiah. And so I do have a questions for Sergio. I mean, definitely, Sergio and I, we communicate very, very often and very, very close together. But I would like to know, I mean, I also share with everyone in the group here as well, is what was the biggest challenge for you when you get your first deal, right?
That's
I
a
think,
good one.
right? And then what was the mindset for you if you're looking back right now? How do you prepare for that?
Man, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. And I think a lot of people can relate. It's good that you guys are here because when I first went to my first event, let's go into the mindset and then we'll go into the deal. My first deal. When I first heard about multifamily, right? Like I said, I didn't jump into residential, single family. My ultimate goal was to buy duplexes. I was gonna, and I tell everybody my goal was to buy 10 duplexes and I was going to become the millionaire of Dallas, Texas. I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and I didn't know how great of a market this was at the time. But ultimately, that was my goal. It wasn't until I got online and I saw a Grant Cardone event on Facebook where I went to my first event where I met Jonathan and Tony, my partners, right? And essentially, that's where I met you, Jimmy, like a year and a half later. We met in, March at the summit, right? I met a lot of you guys at the summits or events. But when I bought my first event, right, I was very inspired. I was high. I was like in a room full of people who wanted to grow. And just as we are in this room tonight with 55 people, I was in a room full of, man, let's go get it. We're hungry. Like, let's go take over this world, right? I remember having a conversation with Jonathan and Tony. We're drinking some beers and we're emotional. We're like, man, let's just go buy these properties. Let's go take them down. And it's all cool and fun, and all that at the time being because you're around that environment. But me being not used to that type of environment, those type of people, the minute I flew back to Dallas after Miami, and you can ask the guys, they can vouch for this. The days are going by, the weeks are going by. My motivation is starting to decline. I'm starting to stop being responsive. I'm starting to not reply to our group chat. I'm starting to kind of get back into my old habits, to forget about this. I'm starting to talk negative to myself and say, man, this is impossible. This isn't really, this is going to take me forever. Who am I? I'm a nobody. I don't even got a single family home that I've bought. And, who am I to be buying these $1 million assets, multi-million-dollar assets, So I'm kind of like facing this guy in the mirror. I'm waking up and my phone's dinging and dinging and dinging in the chat with my partners and people. And I'm just like, man, what am I doing? So it takes a lot. It takes a lot to pull through. At the time, I was also partying still. I mean, I'm a single guy. I'm going out, every weekend or whatever. That's what we do, right? I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd. I'm being out all night, and it's tough. It's tough when you're around that environment and you haven't let it go. It took for me to actually put some my big boy pants on, as I like to say, and to really cut those individuals out, and to start being in these rooms with you guys often. It wasn't just, oh, I'll see you at the next event, see you later. It was literally what saved me was these Zoom calls every week. And we didn't even have these. We didn't even have these at the time, guys. We were joining other ones that were kind of on the come up. And that was on my agenda. Go to one call a week. I got to go to a call a week because that call is going to put that fire back under me. Because we go through life, we got our own personal. When we leave here in an hour or so, or however long we take, we go back to reality. We go deal with our families. We go deal with problems and shit. So me looking forward to come to these meets every week. Okay, we're going to these meets. Let's go get motivated again. Let's go get inspired. Is what saved me, is what got me out of the hole. I ain't gonna lie to you, which is why we decided to start this, and that's another topic. But it took a lot, guys. It took a lot to really look in the mirror. You really got to look in the mirror and say, what am I doing wrong? Am I hanging out with the wrong people? Am I taking action? Am I coming to these groups every Tuesday? Am I doing everything to try to try to network with these people? Am I, we do this for you guys, these 56 people in here, man. All y'all ought to be getting each other's number, DMing each other, man. Where are you from? Let's connect. Let's do some stuff together, because that's what saved me, guys. So luckily, the whole mindset shift, it finally shifted. It took a while. It's not easy. It wasn't overnight. But when we did shift, I saw a lot of result. We started doing more things together. Me and my team, we started being more productive. We started getting more shit done. We started closing more deals. The opportunities just started arising, you know? So I think that's super, super important, is that you just keep coming here. Whether it's our podcast, whether it's anybody, but just keep showing up, guys. That's how it saved me. And I think it would save you too. But that's kind of, Jimmy, I kind of went long there on the whole, the mindset on things, on how is it that I was able to switch it. And I just really just started staying connected with people like you guys. And I go to all the events as much as I can. You heard Jedidiah just kind of talk about it. I'm everywhere, guys. I hear about an event. I'm going somewhere next week, you know. I just got to get out there. It's like Jonathan said earlier before the call, before the recording, it's not, you know, who you know, because I can sit there and say, I know Julie Roy. Everybody knows Julie Roy, right? But does Julie Roy know you? You know, I love you, Julie, by the way. You're the best. Thank you for coming and showing love once again. It's like me saying, like, I know Julie Roy, but does Julie know who I am? Am I bringing value to her? You know, are we tight like that? You know, it's not who you know, because I can say I know all these people, but when you ask him, hey, yeah, you know, Sergio was talking about you. Do you know Sergio? They're gonna be like, I don't know that guy. Who the hell is that guy? Yeah, he's you know, it's key, you know, it's key to be out there, guys. Get out there, go to the events, show up to these Zooms, be active, ask questions. I already see some networking going, you know, up in the chat. Good stuff, guys. Good shit. Let's keep it up. But going to our first deal, some of the mistakes we made, and this is going to be a gold nugget. Some of the mistakes we made was when we got our first deal, I was the one in my team. It's me, and Tony and Jonathan, right? I was the one in our team that was the least experienced, because remember, these guys, Jonathan and Tony, were flipping houses. You know, they had the single family experience, the lingo. I had no lingo of real estate. So I felt like I was the one kind of dragging the team down a little bit because of my education, right? Rule number one, educate yourself, right? Show up here every Tuesday, get familiar with the lingo, go to masterminds, right? So after I started really getting the ball going, you know, when we got our first deal, I started going out, and I say this all the time. You know, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. None of my family and friends didn't know what I was doing. But the day that we got our deal, I started screaming to the world, we got our first deal, guys, come invest with us. You know, I started hitting up all my family, all my friends, and then they're looking at me crazy, like, what the hell, Sergio? What are you doing? You're a construction guy. What are you doing buying assets? What do you know about buying multifamily? This is the first time I'm hearing about this. That is when I didn't realize that I made one of the biggest mistakes, and it's not getting out there. As a Latino or coming from a very humble background, we are told to be humble. Don't tell people what to do. Don't tell people what you're doing. My dad used to get mad because we would market. My dad would say, why are you posting our jobs? Our family members are going to see, like, you're crazy. They're going to be talking about us. Like, it was that bad. That's the type of family I came from. We never marketed. And it wasn't until I started attending these business boot camps where I'm like, man, we're so wrong. But going back to the mistakes, the lessons I learned, guys, was we weren't telling people what we were doing soon enough. Right now, you ought to be telling people what you're doing right now, even if you don't have a deal. Let them know that you're attending these meetings. Snap a picture right now and post it on your social media. I am on a multifamily podcast, at the page, at everything. Let them know what you're doing, so that, because everybody wants to close a deal, correct? That's why we're here, is to learn how to close deals, to collaborate, to partner up. Well, the minute you close a deal, how are you going to sit there and let the world know what is it that you're doing last minute? They're going to look at you like, Gideon, you're crazy. What you ain't closing no deals. You ain't talking about no multifamily. Now all of a sudden you got a deal. You know, you got to warm up and massage these investors. You got to massage and warm up these people and let them know what you're doing. And I would start that like last week if I were you. One of the biggest mistakes I made, especially me, I was really scared. I was scared to talk about what I was doing. I wasn't confident at the time. And I'm a very confident person. When I start kind of getting to know what is it that I'm doing, I think I'm very confident. But at the time, I was kind of like in my little shell, like, dang, I don't want to tell these people what I'm doing. They're not going to believe me. They might think I'm crazy. And sure enough, I am crazy. And I am on another bracket, and it is what it is, guys. You're going to be misunderstood. It's okay. Let these people think you're crazy. At least when they're talking crap about you, you can at least say like, hey man, like you can talk this crap all you want about me, but my mindset's up here. We're not even on the same level. We're on a different whole nother world. So I don't let it get to me no more. I used to care about what people were going to say, but we're on a different level. And that's all I say. We're on a different level, guys. I mean, you're whatever you say about me, you can call me crazy, you can call me stupid, you can say, how is it that I'm going to do this? And I'm going to tell you, but think I'm crazy all you want. At the end of the day, it's not impossible. We're making it happen. And we're just on another level. And it is what it is. You're either with it or you're not. But I kind of went into my zone. My bad, guys.
No,
Jimmy,
don't apologize. Don't apologize. Sergio, can I, I'm going to piggyback on what you said. So a couple of things. One is that last statement you made is, I think we've heard this, but it's worth repeating. You show me your 5 closest relationships and I'll show you your future. And so Sergio, that's what you're really talking about, man.
Dan Pena said that.
Yeah. And then Ed Milet said, he wrote a book about it. If you haven't got that book, get it. It's The Power of One More. That show up one more time, get on one more podcast, go out to one more event, underwrite one more deal, be willing to do it afraid, and be willing. And I'm going to say this is be willing to fail, but don't fail in isolation, and that doesn't mean, don't pull a fire fest on us. Don't do that. But be willing to fail. And if you're failing forward, the antidote to failure is community, because you got people that are going to help pick you up. You got people that are going to help coach you up. You got people that are going to help you see your blind spots. Those are really important. And then going back to, this idea of mindset shift, because I think that's what we're really hitting on here is, there's a result that comes with decisions that were made, in this case, a couple of years ago to change and transform. And it takes 90 days. It takes 90 days, consecutive days, to really reshape and reform patterns of behavior, patterns of thought, patterns of action. And I'm gonna just put a challenge out there. So if you're somebody like me, like Sergio, where we're extremely social people. That's right, Julie. You only fail if you quit. That's right. That's amen to that. And yes, anybody, if you don't know who Julie Roy is, please look her up. She's one of our mentors. She's amazing. And I say that because anytime I'm in a room with her, we're all standing around asking her, Julie, what do you think about this? And then we just shut up and listen. And it's amazing because she just is that woman is an endless sea of wisdom. It is freaking amazing. But I digress. So that 90-day pattern, is something that is so important to grab a hold of. I'm a what you probably call like tribe of squirrels personality. And so I have to be very intentional about saying, okay, I'm going to set a goal and I don't have to get it perfect, but if I'm consistent for 90 days, that 80-20 rule kicks in. And the next thing you know, massive change. And I'm going to use Sergio as an example. This brother is massive action with the right people solves a lot of problems. And so if you're somebody that's struggling with that, step up to the plate, lock arms with the right people. And, a story I'll share real quick is this is what I've learned. There's in our space, guys, there's 2 types of prevailing mindsets. And there's the entitlement mindset, which is people that are just looking for somebody else to do it. They're looking for what isn't their responsibility. And then there's the ownership mindset. And we're in the entrepreneurial game. But in that game, make sure to check yourself and really get people that you can trust to be vulnerable with and be honest with you, and just find out if you're struggling in certain areas. Find out if you're struggling with entitlement. There's something about this space that it really does put us all in position to find out who we really are and find out what we're really made of. And again, I digress to that is, when you're becoming somebody that wants to be a part of a team and you want to be a GP and you want to, crush it, test yourself in situations and find out what your motive is and be one of those people that says, hey, I'm here to serve, and I'm here to be a part of this team and bring my skill sets to the table, and be willing to take instruction and direction, be willing to follow somebody else's lead. And later on, you'll find out what's in it for you. And you'll find out, like we all can tell stories, you'll find out if the people that you're in with are the right people. Because in my case, you know, I'm blessed that I'm working with people like Sean Wright's, people like Jana Usselton, people like Sergio, people like Jonathan, and those are some incredible relationships. But that they weren't my first relationships. I've gone through, just like Sergio can tell you, we've gone through some situations where you find out that you're running with people that don't have the same mindset, they don't have the same heart set, and it's okay. That's okay, because that's where you're going to really learn some valuable foundational lessons. And then that's also what's going to help you identify who the right people are, who you need to link up with. And sometimes you got to trust that process. You know, I know I'm speaking from my own experience on that one. Sometimes you got to trust that process. But like Ed Milet said, don't be afraid to get after it one more time.
There we go. Thank you, Jerry. Helen, do you have a questions?
Wow, I like I don't know what to say. It's like, it's amazing. All of this is like, oh my goodness, it's incredible. Thank you so much, guys. And I have just two questions, one for Sergio and one for Jedidiah. The one from Sergio is like, Sergio, you inspire us a lot, guy. Thank you so much. And so from what you were saying, my question is, how long did it take you from realizing that you can make this happen until now that you have about like 1,000 units? So it's like, how long did it take you? Because that way people can see, oh, if I change my mindset, how long did it can take me to there?
Yeah, that's a really good question. To be completely honest, the minute I started kind of diving fully into this, I almost saw immediate results. It's kind of crazy how it plans out, because you just see them right away. Like, you stop the drinking, you stop the partying, you start hanging around in these groups. Every Tuesday you get a guy or two's number in this chat, you know, you're talking to him, you're following up with him. Hey man, how's everything going? Well, shoot, you know, having these conversations. That's what I love about technology nowadays, is you're able to pick up the phone and be like, hey man, what's up? How's everything? Have you been called any brokers? Have you been closing any deals? Or how can I help you out? And by the time you know it, guys, you're gonna create some kind of alliance, or the guy end up being your brother. I know Tony and Jonathan are like brothers now. You know, we talk every single day since the day we met, and it hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. So I almost saw immediate results the minute I changed my mindset. And it's just looking in the mirror, like I said, and just you got to really know where you're struggling. You got to be realistic with yourself. And if you're gonna sit there and lie to yourself every weekend and, you know, expect a handout, or sit there and say, you know what, I haven't found a deal. Okay, well, look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I making the calls? Am I making the calls? Okay, maybe this week I made 10, but am I making the 50 I need to possibly land one that's going to be a possibility that it's going to work out, or the number's going to pan out, right? You know, you got to really start reverse engineering things. And that's what I used to lack on that. I think that's one of the things that helped me out too. I never really reversed engineered things, looking more into the future and sitting there and saying, okay, you know what? I want to make yay type of money by the end of this year. Okay, well, how many sales do I got to do? Or how many phone calls do I got to make? One of my favorite movies is The Wolf of Wall Street. It's a crazy movie. I love that movie. But I like Jordan Belfort or Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie, and because he's a true hustler. You know, one of the things he says, and I love one of the quotes, and it's not going to be exact, but he says, you know, you want to be rich, pick up the phone and start dialing. You know, you want to be here, pick up the phone and start dialing. You know, you're not going to get any handouts. So being realistic with yourself, looking in the mirror, see where you're at, and you know, just be realistic, guys. I'm going to set it like 5 times.
Thank you so much, Sergio. We really appreciate it. So from that time, you start changing your mindset. That was like when, like maybe a year ago, year and a half ago?
Yeah. So fall of, what are we in, 2023, 22? Fall of 21 is when I went to my first event. It wasn't easy. It wasn't from one day to another. You know, it took me a few months. I'm not gonna lie to you. Why am I gonna bullshit you guys? It took me a few months to get it going. It took the support of Jonathan and Tony. It took the accountability. I had them as accountability partners, because that's one of the great things about these two guys is that we catch each other in slumps, and you know, Jonathan might jump in and be like, "Man, what the hell's going on, Serge? You know, you're slacking this week." Or, "How many people did we call?" "Man, I didn't call nobody, John." "Man, like, we're supposed to get rich. You know, we're supposed to go help all these people. We're supposed to close our first deal. Like, we're not gonna get there not making any calls." Maybe Tony will get on to me that week. Serge, like, "Well, what's up, man? You know, you ain't talking to no investors. How are we supposed to close our first deal?" Having those accountability partners is what really teed it up and made me kind of like the mindset shift even more. So I'm gonna say maybe like the 6th. John, jump in, John. Man, what would you say? What you started seeing me change a little bit since the day I met you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it took a little time, right? Because we need to start knowing each other to see actually we both are truly in this game. And it took us like a solid probably 2 or 3 months until we started getting really close to each other. And then we set goals together. We see we're in the same page, that we really said and discuss about, you know, why we are doing this, you know. So we both goals are aligned, and that's how we with Tony, of course, we have a conversation with 3 of us, and that's how we align. It's like, okay, guys, let's go, and we're all in, or we are all out. That's the only so just yes or no. That was the only kind of answer that we want to get, right? So but yeah, no, I'm proud of see Sergio, you man, like growing, even like we both are partners, but I didn't tell you this, and I'm telling this in front of everybody. How are you growing, man? So I'm so proud of have a partner like you, and be surrounding myself like people like, for example, Jedidiah here. You know, Julie is always supporting us. So love you, Julie. Thank you for being here. And it's great to see actually the partners of us, people that you're surrounding yourself growing, you know, and then that you are actually not impacting, you're impacting their lives as well, and they're impacting my life as well. So this is something amazing to see, and I'm really proud that this is happening.
Man, thank you, man. And we don't, by the way, guys, we're pretty machos here. Me and Jonathan and Tony don't got time to sit there and say we're proud of each other or anything. We're on the go. We're trying to get to the next level. So, John, I appreciate it, brother, man. I love you. Thanks for everything, man. Let's go get it, man. Thanks for the compliments. So now I'm going to work even harder.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, my last question is for Jedidiah. That I heard that you mentioned a couple times about the patterns, like the patterns of actions. And you also mentioned that you saw them in Sergio, and you have seen those actions in people that is surrounding, you know, with millionaires. So what are those actions that they're doing that maybe most of us are lacking, and that way we can improve even better?
Hey, that's a great question. Thank you for that. Sometimes it's the little things, right? I'm going to say specifically to real estate investing. It's like, in my case, I'll speak to my case. It started off learning how to buy houses and being willing. I was the guy that when other people would be like, "Oh, that's too far. Like that's almost to Abilene," or that's there's no way that's going to be a deal, you know. And I was like, "Nope, I'm going to treat it like it is $1 million deal." So whatever it is that you have in your hand, whether it's your job, whether it's a relationship in this space, treat it like it's worth $1 million. And again, frame it up in your mind and your words. And I'm gonna use a lesson that I just learned from Miss Julie Roy: is your words shape your reality. She caught me saying something subconsciously that I wasn't even aware I was saying. And she's like, she called me out on it. She's like, dude, you got to stop that right now. And so some of those action steps are, you know, even internally being willing to be honest with yourself, like was just being said, and ask some people around you to identify some of those key areas that you can say, hey, where can I be more intentional? Where can I take action? And, you know, again, I'm not the guy that's like, hey, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do the 75 hard challenge. I'm not that guy. There are a lot of you out there that you might be that guy and it would be a great fit for you. But I'm the guy that, like, relationally, I want to find out where I can take action on behalf of other people for the common goal. And then, you know, bringing that back into multifamily, it's like, for me, you know, when we're looking at, let's just take asset management, for example. And tomorrow we're actually going to be walking a pretty significant property that Sean Rice House is actually talking to the investors about right now. So some of y'all, this might come down the pipeline on you. Reach out to Sean, reach out to Sergio, reach out to Jonathan, myself, if it's something you're interested in. It's in Dallas-Fort Worth, but that's an example of, like, Sean's not waiting for somebody. I'm not waiting for somebody. Sergio's not waiting for somebody. We're looking for an opportunity to bring what we have, our skill sets, to the table. And here's the other part of that. When it comes to taking action, you don't have to be the lead dog to take action. You can take action by supporting somebody else, but be willing to raise your hand, say, how can I help? And do me this favor. Do it without expecting anything in return. That's that, again, that entitlement mentality is poison. It will ruin your life. It'll ruin your deals. It'll ruin your relationships. Do me a favor. Be willing to take action on behalf of somebody else just to see them win. Do that 10 times and watch what happens. I'm gonna say it. Find 10 ways that you can help somebody in this space win. Find 10 ways that you can find somebody, if you're still in single family, figure out a way to help somebody else win 10 times and watch what happens. You know, for me, again, it's the practical things that I can do in front of me, using my skill sets to go on behalf of somebody else. And then, you know, practice it and get better at it. You know, practice, rinse, repeat. You know, that's really, for me, the big thing is mindset. Mindset sets the tone. So I hope that was a clear answer. I kind of got off the rails a little bit.
Yes, so thank you, Jedidiah, for that. And I have a couple questions, one for Jedidiah and the other one for Sergio. So for Jedidiah, so when you were talking earlier, I was just taking notes of what you were mentioning on for the people that you are talking with, they come to you because they trust you, and for you to trust advice, right? They were just mentioning earlier, and you help people solve problems. So now, if you think back, I mean, when you first coming to multifamily, obviously, I mean, we're all coming from like no experience, and we're very new into the field. How do you establish that trust of others on you to give to work with you, to take the advice and work with them?
So here's what it is. If I could measure it, it's having a selfless ambition in the moment. So whatever that moment is, because we're all presented with those moments, to say, how can I make a difference without expecting? Again, it goes back, it is the counterintuitive of what's in it for me. How can I make a difference? Once you begin to help people, I said this to a buddy of mine, and he was in the movie industry and the film industry and music, and anybody that's been part of LA, there's this idea, we call it the city of angles. Everybody's got an angle. And if any of you guys know Nick Favorite or they're in that space. So there's a lot of people brokering for somebody to do something for them, and it's always got an angle attached to it. And after about a year, we've been touring with Tyler for about a year and doing different things. He said to me one day, because he just realized that you guys are for real. And he said, dude, what is it? And I said, you know, Tyler, I said, sometimes it's a blessing to be a blessing. And I think, to answer your question, is I genuinely operate and out of that mindset. I can negotiate and we can have business conversations on the back end of actual trust and actual relationship where I have been part of a system of success without demanding or expecting anything in return. And I would say this, just as a rule of thumb, if you're going to build a business relationship with somebody, maybe it's the second deal that you guys start to have conversations where it's like, hey, we all know that we're on the same page here. Let's talk business. The other thing that I would say is if you're not comfortable with that, find a mentor, find somebody that can come into that dynamic and that relationship and help you have those conversations so it isn't about you. And again, that is a culture thing. That's a mindset thing that I would highly advocate. You know, again, I'm gonna quote Julie because I have so much respect for her. She's constantly giving away millions and millions of dollars of information and wisdom and experience. And that is a powerful thing. And so I would say, pay attention to that, grab a hold of that, and get yourself around people who think and operate like that. Because somebody posted in the chat, yes, generosity is the key to unlocking wealth. It really is. And again, that doesn't mean that you don't have to, you know, pay your bills and do things. But in this space, in this season that we're in, become somebody that is willing to be a blessing for the sake of being a blessing. So that's my answer.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. So two things that I hear, like you can leverage the credibility of a mentor. And the second thing is you can share the information with others, so you can earn the trust also.
Yeah, be a problem solver, Jimmy. Be a problem solver for them.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
That was good. That was really good.
That's
Thank
awesome.
You,
I think before I ask any more questions, there's another person, Ashley, have a question. So I'd like Ashley to.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, guys. How y'all doing?
Phenomenal.
Doing awesome.
I love that. So this is my first time on here. I actually had met Joseph, I believe, right?
Me,
Or is
Jonathan.
it? Yeah, Jonathan. Sorry, I met Jonathan in Vegas. Sorry, Jonathan in Vegas.
Joseph.
That's all good.
It's okay. I'm used to that. It's all good.
My bad. I met him at the 10X Growth Conference in Vegas a couple of months ago. So he's been after me and my girlfriend to get on here for weeks, and finally we jumped on.
Welcome.
I personally do wholesale. I've been doing it going on 3 years. I own my own franchise. I know nothing about apartments at all. I know how to do sub-2 wholesaling, of course, and then owner finance. So my question for you guys, definitely understand the humble aspect. I think I sacrificed a lot of years just helping everybody else reach their goals. And I feel like I'm ready to reach mine, at this time. But what would you guys recommend would be the first step for me, since I do have a background in that? Obviously none in this. I don't even know where to go or what to do first.
You already completed the first step, and that's showing up here.
Yeah.
And anybody in here that's been coming here for the last couple of weeks, if you want to jump on, let's give your testimony and literally, vouch for what is it that we're doing that's free. Every Tuesday we come out here and we try to educate and then give out all this information, all these experience, because as you kind of start going to some of these events where you get more educated on these, you start to kind of, you get some chips here and there, but here we kind of give the speakers we have every Tuesday, they give out the everything. And this is the pride we take in doing this podcast, is that we give the dirty, ugly truth, the beautiful, the ugly, the facts, the reality of multifamily investing. So obviously every game is a little different, but number one is you're already doing it. You're here today. So keep coming every Tuesday.
Awesome. Okay, great. Because I already got a lot of good stuff today. I was just like, what do I do next? I'm excited, and I know this is like the next step.
We have some cool things coming up that we're gonna talk about in a couple minutes. But you're already doing it. Keep showing up every Tuesday. I know Jonathan's been hounding you down, but keep coming and hang out with us. Number one is mindset, and if you're not in these groups, in this room, how are you going to have that mindset? How are you going to want to grow, and get in and transition into this space? So thank you for coming, though. I really do appreciate it. It takes a lot to spend some time at, an hour and a half out of your night every Tuesday to come here, but you did it. So thanks for coming.
Awesome. Thank you for being here too. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks for answering my question.
Thank Thank you, Ashley, for coming. Thank you. Appreciate that really for showing up here today. So let's go with Gabby. Gabby, thank you. Do you have a question?
Hey, everybody. Hey, I just wanted to shout out. Let me tell you, Ashley, I've been coming in for the past couple months, and literally, I feel like I have these guys in my back pocket. And I get super uncomfortable when I go to all these meetups. Now I go to my local meetups like a few times a week, and I'm okay with the being uncomfortable, and I still speak up and I still ask questions. And it almost seems like my brain is getting bigger and bigger because of the knowledge. So I truly, truly appreciate this. So Ashley, you definitely are in the right hand. And my question is for Sergio, anybody in the panel, how do you get away? How do you get out of your own way when you feel like you don't know that much? But then again, Sergio is saying like, you should be talking to people right now. But then again, you still don't have all the information.
Now, as far as when you say, can you elaborate a little more on the lack of it? Are you saying like your personal lack of education in some of the terms, or?
No, not the terms. I think I'm pretty good on the terms. Just like, like how you were saying, like, earlier, how talk to people about multi-family, even though like, that part, that insecurity, when they're looking at you like you have like 5 heads.
That's a really good question, because I forgot to mention something that I when I started doing it, you got to think about it, guys. They don't know. A lot of people don't know about the terminology. If you had to learn it, imagine your family, your friends, right? So I'm going to tell you a lesson that I learned. You're going to learn all these terms about the cash on cash, the IRR, all these abbreviations. Do not say any of that. Keep it as not dummy proof, but keep it very, very simple as possible. Very simple, just straightforward. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm partnering up with the high net worth individuals. And what we're doing is we're buying these, multifamily assets that give a return annually of 6%. You ain't got to say cash on cash and all that stuff. And Julie, if you want to jump in and give some advice, go on, because you're great at this.
Well, I put my hand up because I wanted my turn. So,
Hi, Julie.
Hey guys, how are you? So a couple things. Ashley, you're in the right spot. Welcome to all the new folks. I don't know if you want to throw up a smile if you're new. I think it's cool to see who's all new too that's joined the group this week. But so a couple things. First, for Ashley, she asked like, what can I do next? A suggestion I have, and early on in the game, I got a mentor, obviously, but I listened to as many multifamily podcasts as possible. I think it's something that we're not talking about enough. First of all, you guys have a great podcast, the Zoom meetings, but in the car, like 12 minutes, like I think Jedidiah mentioned, Audible, and the like people kind of talking off each other and learning from both of them. So there's a huge list of awesome multifamily podcasts, but you can look them up. But a couple really good ones. There's Apartment Building Investing by Michael Blanc. He's also a mentor. There's a few Old Capital podcasts. They do a lot of our stuff at Brad Sumrock's. There's like a ton of people, maybe even some in here, that have their own podcasts. So always good to learn from like new or younger investors that just started out too, because they have a lot of good information for y'all. I love the real estate guys. It's not technically multifamily, but I mean, it's kind of everything. And I love Bigger Pockets. That's kind of always on my, when I'm doing my treadmill, I throw them on. But just something that I wanted to mention, because I think you can learn a lot of not only just terms, terminology, just the way that people are talking about multifamily. They often bring up current news in multifamily. So you're not trying to chase all this financial news everywhere, because that's also hard. You can kind of find it all in one place. And if you don't have to start from the podcast number 1, like start at the present. And if you want to go back, you can, but I always try to catch the newest podcast, because I feel like it addresses more of what's happening in the market. So that's just a little tidbit of information that has helped me. I actually have my kids listening to them too. So it's kind of funny what they're learning. They probably know more about IRR than I do. But so that's one thing. And then the second thing, what was the question we just had that you were answering?
Gabriel, how
Getting
is it
out
that
of your own way.
getting out of your own way, talking to her family and friends about what is it that she's doing? And I said it kind of like, don't speak these big terms to them. And maybe you can, that's when I brought you in. I was like, hey,
keep it simple. Yeah, for sure. Keep it simple. And the less that you get into the minutia of all this, the better. So at first I was like, this is all the things, there's IRR, there's cash on cash. We know we're going to get this much, then we're going to refi, then you're going to get this much back. And then at the end of the game, you're going to get the equity. And they were like, whoa, this is too much for me, right? So I think it's best to just say like, here's the deal, here's the units, here's the location. This is why we love the deal. And pick like 3 things that you love about the deal, about why you're so invested in the deal, rather than being like talking only about the financial side. So something I learned really early on is I'm very right-brained. So I speak very from a creative perspective. I love the entrepreneurial journey. I love the startup. I love the acquisition, but I'm not super left-brained, and I'm not the numbers side of my brain is like, I'll go to that. I have people do that for me my whole life, right? I know how to analyze it, but it's not something that I jump to. I like the relationships. So when you're talking to an audience, just always make sure you're not talking from one side of your brain. Because if I'm always talking from this creative side and talking about all the awesome things I love about the deal, but I don't address the left side of the brain, you're cutting half your audience out from day one. So just make sure to keep a balanced conversation to all of your investors, because you don't know oftentimes which side they're coming from. So that's just something I learned that might be helpful when you're taking into account, talking to a new investor or a group of people. To keep them engaged, you're going to want to address both sides of that brain.
Yeah, you got the best answer you could ever get, because Julie's the best. And if y'all haven't already, guys, we actually had her on our podcast. She was one of our guest speakers. You got to go back and look at that podcast. It's on our YouTube channel. We'll have Shirley or somebody put our link to our YouTube channel where all these calls are recorded, and you can go back and tune in and listen to them while you're driving to work or whatever the case may be. But Julie's Roy's podcast was killer, and it was amazing. Julie, you're the best. Thank you. Do you have a question?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, like, basically, I want y'all to know I knew nothing more than you do about multifamily when I started. So like, don't think, they keep saying Julie Roy. All I did, honestly, was I super diligently, committed obsessively to the success in this area. And all of you can do that. There's nothing that I did that none of you can do here on this podcast call or on this meeting. If you commit to your success and there is no other option but for you to succeed, failure is then not an option. So committing, I think, is the first thing, but fully committing, fully diving in, fully embracing, being a huge learner, right? Creating excellent opportunities and experiences, and just keep sucking this all in. All of a sudden, you become an expert. And that happens because you've put yourself in this space. You've committed to the success. And I think no matter what you do, first, you need to commit to the success. You need to see the success, and you need to commit to doing the steps to be successful. And people are like, well, it's not all about mindset, Julie. No, it's not. But it's a huge part of moving you forward in this, in anything you commit to. That's the difference between folks that make it and folks that don't, is, are you committing fully and intentionally? Is every step that you're taking on a daily basis helping you to that goal? And if it's not, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing. I think that's just the best advice I can give you. If you really want this to work for you, commit to it and create intentionality in everything you do. Every step has to be towards this bigger goal that you're looking at. Yeah.
That was good. I love it.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. I guess Michelle Gonsman, you got a question?
Hello.
What's up?
Hi, Julie. You are my favorite speaker that they've had. I can't wait to meet you.
Thanks a lot, Michelle. Thanks. That's awesome.
I'm just kidding.
Sergio is killing it tonight.
I appreciate it, but honestly, I really just hope to bring value. Honestly, wholeheartedly, my next half of life, I'm turning 50 this year, and I'm fully committed to raising other people up. Like, that is the full goal. I've made it. In my eyes, I feel good about where I'm at, but I really just am committing to helping other folks reach their potential, because I just find it makes my heart happy, but I also am super happy for all of you as I see so much growth. Even Jonathan, Sergio, Tony, like, I see you guys and I'm watching, it's amazing. So
Yeah, you
Love
are
you, love
amazing
you.
too. I love your energy. You have so much and so helpful.
thanks.
So much. Yes. I have so many notes every time I listen to the whole podcast. I mean, the whole video with you on there.
Awesome. Well, if you need anything, let us know. We're always here to help. I love this call. I feel like it's home for me. So I don't get on a lot of calls. I definitely don't get on weekly calls, but I always try to make it on this one. So I appreciate these guys a lot. I call them my little brothers because they're a lot younger.
I was watching one of your videos the other day. I'm like, oh, they're so cute. They grew up because I saw them from the beginning too, and they're doing so awesome.
Michelle was there since day one.
Yes, and I got slacked off, but I'm back.
You're back. Hey, proud of you though, because you're back. You're back, and out of the 13 of us that kind of started together, Michelle and Marcos.
Yeah, I
were the
saw
ones
Marcos showing up too. Yep.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. You two guys are the only ones that are kind of just still hanging in there despite the adversity
Yeah.
that are going through. Yeah, so super proud of you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I wanted to announce also thank you for the deal that you brought and that I'm investing in. Super excited. I'm finally investing in multifamily.
There we go. Congrats. Congrats. We're happy for you.
Thank you. Alrighty, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks. Bye.
What's up, Ruben?
Hey, Sergio. Well, thank you, Jedidiah, Sergio, Jonathan, Julie, for all the advice and all the things that you guys were sharing. I really like what you shared earlier, Sergio, about like when you were first closing your deal and talking about it for the first time to like your family and friends. If you were to do it again in terms of social media or like just putting the word out there, is there anything that you would do differently? Like, for example, if I want to start posting about it, should I start pushing about like educational content and stuff like that? And I was wondering if you have any other tips as well to get started on, promoting more on social media.
For sure. So first things first, depending on the deal you're in, you cannot advertise or market the deal that you're a part of until you close. If it's a 506B, which is a lot of them are, they're just, you can't go out there and blast it. It's against the SEC rules. If it's a 506C, you can go advertise it and market it all you want. Let's just say right now, do you have any deal flow right now? Do you have any deals at the moment or nothing yet?
No, just getting started.
Here's what I would do. I would post, like, if I were to go back, and I would have done it more. I did it, but I would have done it more. Even whenever I was practicing underwriting, because I have a lot of following on my social media and they're all friends and family, right? So I would go back. What I would do back then was kind of record like a T12 really quick, and then my quick little analysis, like they'll see like a spreadsheet, right? And I'll just put underwriting deals. That's it. When I was walking a property with the broker, I don't know what market are you in, but when I was practicing talking to the brokers, the kind of popping my collar and trying to, just kind of be in that environment that I'm a buyer, and all that good stuff. I would record it. I would say, and once again, you cannot put details on the property, but I would kind of watch out with that because you're kind of crossing the line depending on what you're recording. But just like I would record the inside of a unit, like we're a part of a deal right now that we're going to close in a few weeks. And I was actually with Jedidiah where we're asset managers, right, for that property. So I'm in the property just recording the classic unit. That's honestly, it's like in horrible, shape, but I'm recording just the unit. I'm not saying, in Dallas or so-and-so units or nothing. I'm just kind of just posts in that room and saying, getting ready to renovate or stuff like that's when you really start getting people and going and really they're going to be like, hey man, Ruben, well, what are you doing? I see you're posting yourself at these events. Every event I'm taking a picture with Julie when I see her. We go out to dinner, I'm taking a picture with her and her family. The networking, I'm taking pictures. The events I go to, I'm taking pictures and I'm posting them. That's what I would do even more. And if you're not in that event every week or every month, post something, some education, you're here every Tuesday, post that you're here every Tuesday, learning and maybe invite your friends or family and then they'll kind of get a piece of what is it that you're doing. If I miss, go ahead, Julie, go ahead.
Sorry, I have one other thing that I think might be helpful. So like in the beginning, remember all the questions you had about this, like, what is this about, right? I mean, imagine like you don't know anything about multifamily. Kind of erase your mind of, okay, I don't know anything about multifamily, and start with questions you have about multifamily. For example, what is multifamily? Oh, it's apartments. What is syndication? What does that mean? What are you doing? And just start with simple, basic, like honestly, a post can be, and you can cheat a little bit with this too, especially if you're doing posts every day. You can load into Chat GPT AI and don't use exactly what they put, but what you can say is, please give me social media prompts on real estate investments in multifamily. They'll give you like 50 prompts. And then you take those prompts and you make your own things, or you say, can you please give me 10, how did I ask it? Can you please give me 10 frequently asked questions about investing in multifamily? Boom, ChatGPT AI. Now you might have to pay for it. Some of them, like the better ones, are like $20 a month or something like that, or else you're waiting on hold or whatever. But even if you don't do ChatGPT, Google, what are the most commonly asked questions for new multifamily investors? Done. So you're going to get maybe like 5 or 10 questions. Now you can either talk about it, like get on and say, hey, did you know that most new multifamily investors, this is like did you know that the number one question for multifamily investors is blah, blah, blah. Or you can YouTube, right? Start a YouTube channel about really simple, like it can be 2 seconds. You can use that reel on Insta, then you can use the reel on LinkedIn, then you can use the question and answer maybe in writing on Facebook. And don't discredit some platforms. So I have a huge Facebook following because I have a lot of older people in my group, right? But listen, older people have money. So don't discredit Facebook. People are like, oh, everyone's old on Facebook. I'm old and I have money. So like come to Facebook because I might see something and be like, you know what? That caught my eye. Or guess what? I'm not in that space. I like this deal. Tell me more, right? Instagram's cool, but a lot of Instagram people are young. Young people, not all of them have money yet. They're learning, they want it, they're in the hustle. But don't discredit Facebook because people are like, well, I haven't been on Facebook in a year. Well, that's a first problem because a lot of your older investors, your family, those people have Facebook accounts, right? So don't discredit one platform from another. I think a lot of young people are on Insta and TikTok, and that's all great. But there's a following for each of these platforms. So you can take the one piece of content and just basically change it to attract whatever you're trying to attract on that social platform. But prompts are great if you're stuck one day. Like sometimes I just have writer's block and I'm like, hey, tell me something about multifamily. And it'll literally list a bunch of stuff and I'll be like, you know what? Oh, this is a good one. I can talk about this. Or I feel comfortable talking about this. Or this is something I get asked a lot. Right? Like people are like, oh, what is like whatever, an acronym? And I'll be like, hey, here's 5 acronyms that you should get comfortable with before you start investing, or like something. Don't overthink it. I guess that's my answer for it. Like just do a simple thing. And as long as you're consistently on every day in some way, I consistently, like Sergio knows, Jonathan knows, I post every day. Some of it's great. Some of it might be just a meme. If I'm on a flat day, I'll post some random money meme, right? Like, but most often you're trying to add value. So, and if you add value, people follow you.
You just killed it, Ruben.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Just a follow-up question.
And now I'm going to follow. I'm going to follow you, Ruben, and see what you're doing. Accountability partner.
Boom.
I appreciate it. And I guess just a follow up. So educational content, yes, to all platforms, but then the details, we're not sharing anything unless it's to our investors, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even share pictures, honestly, because SEC could get under your pants for that. Like they could really, it's really hard for you to go backwards and unreal stuff rather than just be super careful going forward. So like any deal that I have, I back message or I send directly. So I'll say like today, I think, you know, Jonathan and Sergio can tell you, I had something go out to my specific groups. And what I'll say is like, I have a real estate group too. This is another thing that you might want to do on your platforms. I created a free real estate group. So my real estate group or my real estate committee, they get my deals first. So they have privilege over everybody else in my CRM. I have probably 3,500 people in my CRM, but my real estate group, they get privilege of any deals that come out. So I'm closing a deal on Friday. It's been funded for a long time, but that I only marketed it to 25 people. I only had 17 shares available. It was done in 24 hours. And I didn't even go to that other group. I just went to my real estate group that I created. Super easy, create a Google form. Okay, everybody knows how to do a Google form on your social media. Hey, I'm a real estate investor. I'm looking for great deals. I'm gonna have, you know, I can double digit your returns. Whatever you want to put, a little excerpt at the top, a picture of you. Try to get some good branding pictures. If you can't afford good pictures, dress up one day and have people take a bunch of iPhone pictures of you guys. And use like more professional pictures on a Google form like that with your little logo. You can make a logo really easily online. So put that up on a Google form and say, you know what, I'd love to have you in our private real estate committee or group. You know, we're trying to add value. Any deals that go out are going to go specifically to this group. So if you want to be a part of what we're doing, make sure to sign up on the Google form. At first, no one signed up. Now I have 180 people that I direct do deals to in that group, and they get it before anyone else. And it's true, they have had opportunities other people don't now because they're part of that group. Then I have my regular CRM that I literally stripped. This is another trick. If you have a VA or anybody that can do this for you, take your email list as far back as you can go and just every email, put in your CRM. If they want to unsubscribe, that's not your problem. Put everyone into CRM. I think we're at 5,000. Because I used to own companies before. And so everybody that I just have my VA every day. She puts maybe 20 or 30. And I've grown that CRM list like threefold. And that costs nothing, right? This is just contacts you already know and have in your contacts. So yeah, those are just quick tips. Hopefully that helps.
Very, very valuable advice. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Ruben. Yeah, if you need anything, let us know.
And remember, guys, if this was too fast, we got it recorded, so you can always go back. No, because it might be so fast for a lot of people. But remember, guys, it's recorded. No worries, we got it recorded for y'all. It's gonna go to YouTube, Spotify. You can go back and listen to these key points. So no need to worry. I know some people freak out. They freak out in the chat, like, "Oh crap, what was it? What did she say?" But awesome. Jedidiah, I want to turn it back down to you for one last question before we kind of go into these breakout rooms, do some networking. And I think John, were we gonna do the spiel before or after?
No, we're doing it now, and then we're doing the breakout rooms.
Okay, before we get off, I just want to say I love Jedidiah and thank you for your call.
Julie, thank you. Oh, what a blessing.
Awesome. Jedidiah, really quick, just one last question. As far as I know you transitioned from the single family like many do, explain the importance of the education part of things. I know it's different. It's a whole nother ball game. And the other day somebody tried to talk single family with me and I was like, dude, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know none of these terms. I know multifamily terms, but I don't know any of these single family terms. It might be the same, but I just didn't get it. But
yeah,
explain how important the education part of it is just for a lot of these people.
Hey, that's a great question, Serge. Really, the single family is something people are familiar with because typically, at least in the real estate game, we understand homes as a necessity And there's something about, pride and ownership, right? Like I want to own something that is mine. And that mindset doesn't necessarily translate to apartment living a whole lot, even though a lot of folks that's home for them. And so a lot of the conversation around investing in real estate that goes into single family is very possessive. And there's, again, Julie said, you guys will hear this a lot. So much of this game, and especially in the learning side, is a mindset shift. And what for me it was is in the single family culture, it's a great culture. Don't get me wrong. Like it's fantastic, but it is very singular focused in most cases. Very few times do you find people coming together around even on a portfolio of properties. You typically have people fighting over portfolios of property. You have people competing over, the acquisition of an asset, a home or a group of homes. And so the education that goes along that is a lot about like, here's how you protect your deal. Here's how you close on your deal before the other guy can. Here's how you build relationships that keep your stuff proprietary and keep your information proprietary and keep your lead flow proprietary. So that's one thing that I noticed in the educational format. It was very much about individual mindset. It was very much about, what can you do on your own using other people's money? But at the end of the day, the deal was still yours. And so the culture that I came out of, which is a great culture, it's heavy on, and you'll see this, it's heavy on OPM, other people's money. But the end goal is always so that I can win. And they're making money on their money. That's fine. But again, the mindset, the culture around that education is very singular focused. And then you get into like the rehabbing process. We call it asset management, multifamily, but like the rehabbing process and understanding that, I still have mine broken out into 7 phases. So there's incremental education that goes along that. There's very limited information and education around funding deals that I've experienced in single family, other than people wanting to get your money to go buy a house that they went on. And I see a lot of that goes on. It's like people aren't actually being educated as much as they're being leveraged. And so shifting that for me, when I got exposed to multifamily, again, like a lot of people, I was an LP position first. I was a passive investor. And I want to say that with great respect and great value. I would highly recommend, if you haven't been a part of a real estate deal, be an investor, even if it's a single family situation where you have trusted relationships. Study, do your due diligence, get educated about, the deal, just like if you owned it, but be okay with being a passive investor. I call it being the bank. And there's a whole nother, I'd love to go down that lane on another talk at some point, but thinking like a bank is a really powerful way to approach that. The bank doesn't want to necessarily manage the asset. They don't necessarily want to control it, but they want to fund it because they're in the business of their money making money. And so be okay with that. That's actually a power position that it sets you up for success as you go into your learning journey in the other parts of this. And so for me, education in single family was really important, but it's a mindset shift to what I love about multifamily. And that's what I love about this culture. That's what I love about Cash Flow Empire. That's what I love about the team that I'm on, is the mindset shift went from learning how to protect my deal, learning how to leverage other people into my deal, to, oh my goodness, this is our deal. From the smallest investor, the smallest LP, to the potential KP or the sponsorship team, the debt guys, which is the bank coming in, everybody is on an us and we mindset. And that is a really powerful way of doing business. Now, again, you still have to be wise about who you do business with. You want to build trust and build credibility. You want to work with people who are credible. And if you're in a deal that you're excited about, bring somebody in that may not be in the deal, but has a lot of experience and is willing to look at it with you, and educate you along the side. But that shift from single family to multifamily, specifically in education, was going from an I to a we. Now, that said, there's an entire glossary of information that I think is very valuable. And as somebody that is a student, and I'm always learning, what I found is, my goodness, I have so much to learn. And there is, and I'm not going to say there's a huge chasm between some of these big players out there that we hear and see all the time, and where guys like me were at, a year, 2 years ago, and a lot of us are even at today. And so for me, education is needed in this space. We want to educate, empower, and elevate. And I think education specifically on fundamentals, be quick to listen, slow to speak, even with your money. Education is crucial. I think it is a fundamental building block. And I think it's something that I'm excited to be a part of. That's really my passion right now, is I want to be a part of helping other people learn and be educated so that they can then be empowered to start making some really cool decisions.
Awesome, man. That was great. I like when you just go off like that. You just
Thank you, man.
John, I don't know if you want to jump in really quick.
Yeah, all yours, guys, all yours. So this is your stage. So you guys want to share what is coming up. So I just post in the chat right now what is going on. So I'll let you go.
Jedidiah,
I'm so excited.
Let it flow.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. So that said, and I think that was the nature of the question, is there's a group of us that have been in this space for a while at different levels that have realized just through relationship and responsibility to those relationships, both financially and just on personal levels, human to human, is there is a need to get people who are new in our space trained up and educated. And what we realize, and this is for me too, is I don't value what I don't invest in, right? And so sometimes that gets leveraged where people are spending a lot of money because they're excited and they want to learn, and they want to learn fast, and they are bought in, they're 100% in, they're ready to do whatever it takes. And then they're spending thousands of dollars before they're ready to do anything about it. And so there's a lot of heartburn that comes along with that. So what we've been working on over the last few months, there's a group of us, which includes Sergio, Jonathan, it includes Jan Usselton, Sean Ricehouse, myself. There's a few other key players, and we're still in the process of building out some of those key relationships. Is we're putting together a network of coaches and education. It is a paid for program because I believe that you value what you invest in. And what we're setting up is it's called the Model Investor Alliance with an Academy. We've got some information that you can get on that. But our goal in this and what we're excited about is to start people on a track for success with education. And for folks that want to jump on board with us and be a part of that, we're doing it's a $299 monthly fee that you invest in yourself. But this is coming with coaches. This isn't just coming with a program. This is coming with relationship. This is coming with content. This is coming with the things that we all spent years and honestly tens and tens of thousands of dollars getting a hold of. And so I'm excited because I'm one of the coaches in this. I'm one of the minds behind this. But we're doing a special tonight. Anybody that wants to become a part of that learning program, we're knocking $50 off a month for the next year. The goal, again, is we want to educate people so that they can be empowered, so that they can elevate. And that is the heart behind this. That's why we've put a lot of hours and a lot of money into developing this out as a safe place for people to start. The cool thing about it is it's a month-to-month membership. So again, we're not asking people to jump in with tens of thousands of dollars only to be like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? I wasn't ready. So I'm excited about this. I'm so excited to be working with Sergio, Jonathan, Tony, Sean. I mean, there's a group, and it's growing, of coaches and mentors that I wish somebody would have had a tool like this for me to get my hands on. I could tell sob stories about over $100,000 of money invested in trying to learn about this kind of stuff without this kind of approach. Because what I found out, and I think some of us in this room may have found out, is at a certain point, I just wasn't ready for the $20,000 investment. I wasn't ready for the $40,000 investment. I wasn't even ready for the $10,000 investment. It's not that investment wasn't a good investment in me. I just wasn't ready. And so this is a powerful tool. It's a powerful way to get started and feel like, hey, I am investing in myself. And that is important. I can't stress that enough. It's very important to invest in yourself. So that's something that I'm excited about. Sergio, what do you got on that, brother? I want to hear your heart on that.
Yeah. I think you nailed what we got going on, but we also have John, if you want to touch base on the mastermind that's going on the 19th.
Yeah, you guys want to share that too. So and then I think we have a quick mastermind that I have been posting the chat there. So if you guys want to come and hang out with us, it's going to be an amazing opportunity for networking, for just keep building alliances, right? Because this multifamily is a team sport, and we noticed that we try to do this ourselves is just way harder. So just by be closing and networking just in person, like we attend a lot of networkings every month. That's how we actually accomplish success in our business, right? So we're building this out for you guys. If you want to come and hang out with us, it's going to be an amazing opportunity for you all to come on that day. So we're going to be giving a lot of value to all of you that day. So if you want, Jerry, and explain a little bit, what are we planning for that day before we finish this conversation?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. So what we're doing is we're doing an intensive for one day on the 19th. And again, we're partnering with Jana Usselton. I don't know if anybody in the room is familiar. I am. She's one of my mentors in the space. Jana has been teaching and coaching and training businesses in the real estate space for going on 20 years now. And her passion is to, again, equip, empower, and get people elevated to where they want to be. So we're doing an all-day intensive at one of her businesses in Dallas, Texas, actually in Grand Prairie. And what our goal is in that is to get people in the room who want to be there. And then we're also going to be, I think it's like $99 if you want to go. We're going to go on and look at two of our properties. One that's we're about to start the rehab process on, and the other is actually in the process of it's under contract. We're doing due diligence on it. And it's going to be an incredible way for you to start. If you're new to this, or if you're old to this is a credible way to get started and get grounded. And again, that's May 19th. And I think it's $299 for the day, all in. That includes the bus tour, that includes the all-day intensive, the workbooks that come with it. And again, our goal as a community is to educate people, because that's what a lot of us have found, is that's what we wished somebody would have done for us. So we're taking the plunge as a community, and we're locking arms to start to provide some depth of content, and specifically here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we would be so honored for you guys to come join us. We also, I think, are going to have a virtual extension of that as well. So for people who can't be there in person, it does cap out at 45. So, and if you can't be there and you know somebody who's in our area and you say, hey, this is a great community of people to get in contact with, to get around with intention. And I can't stress that enough. Julie said it earlier, be intentional, commit, go all in on your decision, send somebody. And that refers back to what we were talking about earlier. That's a way to take action. If you find that you're in a position or a season where you can't necessarily be the one, help somebody else be the one. And that's something that somebody actually did for me. They invested in me to go on their behalf, to learn with them and for them. And that is invaluable too. So again, that caps out at 45 for the day. But we are excited, again, to partner with our community and be intentional about that. So just excited and honored to be locking arms with these guys.
Yeah, guys, it's going to be fun. Come hang out with us. I mean, we talk about going to events and attending these. Here's an event, to go. And like you said, just kind of elaborate a little bit. We'll be touring 2 properties in the DFW. So it's going to be very fun. Talk about due diligence, talk about all the key things that we look into, especially me and Jedidiah, that we're construction guys, and Sean's in the house too. We all have that entrepreneur construction background. So, I mean, there's a lot to learn. It's going to be very, very fun. And we're showing you guys some of the gold nuggets that we do. It's going to be fun. Come hang out.
Do you want to share something about this, Sean, too? Do you have any thoughts about what is coming on May 19th? Sorry if I'm calling you up.
And I think Jedidiah covered every aspect there is to come. Here's what I will say though. We also have the meetup on the 18th, right? So if y'all want to come to that, that's no cost, and we can hang out and talk. And then the very next day, we're going to go do this investor mastermind and take the bus tour to 2 of our properties. One we're fixing to start a major rehab, and the other one's like Jedidiah said, is under contract, and we're in the process of due diligence. So if you're new into it, it would be a beautiful opportunity to come and just get your feet wet and kind of see what it's all about.
And it's cool, guys. Some of you guys, I know some of you guys, because there's obviously a relationship here. We've talked to some of y'all. Some of y'all are already coming. I think the cool thing is that you can fly in that 18th Thursday morning, go to the free event at night, and then knock out two birds with one stone, and then go to the mastermind that Friday. And that's a whole weekend of networking and just getting shit done, you know, networking, meeting other people, learning a lot, touring properties. I mean, it's gonna be dope, guys. I would most definitely just kill two birds with one stone. Fly in that Thursday morning, come to our meetup at night. We usually meet for about 2 hours in downtown Dallas in a high-rise, super nice high-rise, where you can see this, you know, the city. And then we go down to a hotel next door. We have drinks, we hang out, we keep networking. And yeah, I mean, it's
actually, it's really a day and a half event, right? It's like you get, because we start that one at 3, right?
Yep.
We'll be going until 9 or 10 o'clock at least at night. And then we got the whole next day. So a couple $100. So that's a pretty good investment.
That's a hell of an investment right there.
Great investment.
So Tammy, you got something?
Yeah, Ashley's asking in the chat, like, what do you recommend, the program or the tickets? Because it looks like she is she's looking for the month to month, but also it's her first day. So just like any recommendations, what would you guys recommend?
There's like a lot of us that can speak on this. John, you want to go, John?
Yes. Okay. What will I recommend you? For me, networking and getting closer, like, for example, in my case, I invest first in the person, not even in the deal, right? So even before you want to make sure that you are fully committed and just go monthly to monthly. So what I will do is actually come to meet us in person to see if actually you feel the vibes, that you trust us, that you see that actually you want to join us in this journey. That's how I will see this from my side. So what I will do first is just go into the in-person event on the 18th, and you can make it the 19th, will be awesome too. But my own experience, I always like to meet the people first before even I decide to partner up with them in something.
Completely agree. So if you're looking for some direction, come meet us, and then I guess you can make your decision from there, right, John?
That is correct. Do you have something to say about this, Jedi? Is Jedi here?
He's muted and he's not showing his picture, so I guess he's not.
All right, guys. So yeah, I think that that's all for tonight. Let's go. We have an amazing breakout rooms right now. So thank you so much. If you want to finish the call, Sergio, right now, but thank you so much, everybody, for joining tonight. So if you have more questions about this event that is coming, or if you want to join the mastermind, feel free to reach out to me, Sergio, Jedidiah, Sean, Jana, any of us, or anybody from the team, the Cash Flow Empire team. Feel free to reach out to any of us. And then, do you have any final words, Sergio? It was amazing to have you as a speaker tonight.
Thank you, guys. I hope I was able to just kind of help you get out of the just your inner prison in your mind, because I know that's very, very huge. I'm not saying I'm completely overcame that. I still have my daily battles and stuff like that. So it's completely normal. We're not there yet, but huge step, baby steps rather than no steps, right? So yeah, thank you guys once again for joining the Cash Flow Empire call every Tuesday, and we will see you next Tuesday.